Okay, so yeah, let's get started here. Thanks for everybody joining us today on our very important release of our report, Citizens for Privacy, How the War on Sex Work is Stripping Your Privacy Rights. My name is Maxine Doogan, and I am the president of the Erotic Service Providers Legal Education and Research Project. I am, an erotic service provider. An erotic service provider is anybody who earns their living through their erotic labor. So you can be an adult film performer, online content creator, adult online text or chat, exotic dancer. You can be a professional dominatrix or submissive. And I myself work as a prostitute of 30 plus years, and I pretty much plan on working as a prostitute for another 30 plus more. The Erotic Service Providers Legal Education and Research Project is a nonprofit that seeks to expand the sexual privacy rights for everybody. And today we are talking about our report where we did public records request with the sponsorship from the Rose Foundation. We asked 58 district attorneys and sheriff departments and 38 probation departments and 52 police departments in California if they had made prostitution arrests, which are known as Criminal Code 647B, or the loitering with intent to commit prostitution, which is called the 65322, anytime between the period of January 1st, 2020 through February 28th, 2022. So this report reflects the responses from those agencies. Now, noting that many of those agencies did not respond, because under the California Public Records Act, agencies can respond with a basic acknowledgement that they responded to you, but not provided you actually any records. So some of the records we specifically asked for is if they did these prostitution arrests for 647B and 65322, and more importantly, what is the technology they used to make those arrests? So that's the focus of what we're going to be talking about today, is the technology that the police departments are using to violate our privacy. And we have an esteemed panelist here today who many of which worked on the report directly with us, and some of whom have been championing for sex worker rights for a long time. So I just want to say a couple more things about the public records request process a little bit. We don't have a number of actual arrests. We do have a number of actual arrests for 647B and the 65322, the solicitation of prostitution and the loitering with intent to commit prostitution. But because the police responses who actually responded with those actual cases, they often conflated those two different things together. So I can't tell you how many were for 647B for solicitation and how many for loitering, because the police didn't actually tell us. Some of the other problems with the public records requests were that like the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Department responded that they were denying our request for the technology used and the citations for those arrests, because they said it would reveal the identities of human trafficking victims or sex trafficking victims, which was odd because we didn't ask anything about sex trafficking. We didn't ask anything about people's identities. We were denied access to records because some agencies said things like, oh, well, it'll reveal people's identities. And then we had other agencies that responded and provided everybody's identities who had been arrested for prostitution. And then we had other agencies who responded without any I would say any official capacity, like they didn't have their emblem of their agency listed at the top of their response. So it was often confusing about who was actually responding to these public records requests. There were situations where the public records request had no name of any individual who was attached to those public records requests. So there was just a lot of sloppiness, and it seemed confusion on the part of the public records response. I got a lot of phone calls from public records request people inside these agencies who were responsible for responding, and they wanted to know if I was a real person, what kind of agency was the Erotic Service Providers Legal Education and Research Project, what were we doing with this information? And none of that information is really germane to their responsibility to respond to the public records request. I had a lot of positive interactions with many of the public records request people in clarifying what it is I was looking for. And I didn't have to give a reason why I was looking for it. It's just part of what the public gets to know. So some of the public records request people had to go back and forth to the police officers who are doing the actual arrest for prostitution to get clarification on the technology they were using to make these arrests, after I would have to explain to the public records request person how prostitution arrests actually occurred. So they had a better idea about specifically what to ask of the police officers, because the police officers were not really forthcoming with the information that I had requested that the public records request person was actually responsible for. So there was a lot of that type of confusion that went on, and I have many other examples to give, and some are included in the report. The report is on our website, and we'll be able to go on to have our illustrious research analysis person, Tara Burns, talk about some of the key findings. Take it away, Tara.